Hi guys, Gilly Hunt here with a little bit of fun with some paper piecing today using our rather lovely Follow Your Art Designer Series paper. So let's get started straight away. Here's the two that I've made already, and I'm going to have a go at a third one which is just slightly different but in the same series, and we're using the Beautiful You stamp set. Here's the two I've used already, the lady in the hat, the lady with the umbrella, and I'm going to have a go at the lovely lady in the skirt that's dancing. So it's from that Beautiful You stamp set, and let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you a little sort of menu of what we need, or a recipe card I suppose. So we're going to use those two, we're going to use Celebrate, and we're going to use the lady dancing from that stamp set, and we're going to use the Memento ink. So I'll just take the top off so that's ready to go. And we'll just put the stamps off camera for a moment whilst I show you the other things we're going to need. We're going to need a note card and envelope from the Stampin'Up note card sets, which come 20 in a pack. They're brilliant to use, and that's a great size for what we want today. And then you're going to need about half a sheet of the designer series paper, and of course you can choose a different paper if you want, but I love this. It has a real almost 1940s vibe to it. It's just great. So we're going to need one piece which is just a little bit bigger than the envelope, which is what we're going to use to line our envelope in a moment. Okay, then we're going to need another little scrap piece which has just got to be big enough for whatever you're going to cut out. So I'm going to cut out her dress, so I probably only need about half of this piece, but that's the piece I'm going to use. And then we're going to need two other pieces, and one is going to need to be 60 by 110 millimeters, not centimeters, which is what I put originally, and then 80 by 80 millimeters for this one. So 8 by 8 centimeters, 6 by 11 centimeters for your white, Whisper White plain card, and your designer piece of paper. And of course on the other side is the design that we want. And the first thing you're going to do, which is very simple, is we're going to attach this piece straight away onto our note card. So let's just put it in the middle. There we go. Oh, have I got that straight? I haven't got that anywhere near straight. Oh, this is not clever. Don't watch for a moment. But I think it's good sometimes to see mistakes. Always pull in towards the centre, because then if it does bring any card off, it's not such a problem. It's roughed up the surface, but it's all going to be hidden behind again. So what I'm going to do is just take that roughed off piece. It's always worth showing you the mistakes. So here we go. I'm going to use a little bit of glue over the top of it, just to replace that sticky tape, and we'll go for it again, shall we? And let's see if I can get it nicely lined up this time. It was very wonky. Okay, I think I've got that nice and straight this time. Let's pull that off. Pull this one off. Pull this one off. And get it nice and stable on that glued edge. So let's just spend a little bit of time pressing that glued edge to make sure it's totally stable and down. Okay, so there's our background piece, and that's going to be the piece that goes in behind. Okay, so we can put that away to one side, and now we're going to work on this little piece on the top next. So here's our little piece that was, if you remember, 8 by 8 centimeters, 80 by 80 millimeters. And onto that we're going to first of all print our little dancing lady. So let's just get her nicely tip-tapped, and she's going to fit on there, and I'm going to squeeze her right up to the side because I know there's only just room to put her and the Celebrate, and I want it to almost look like she's bouncing out of the picture. Excuse me, coughing. And we're going to put Celebrate here. There she goes. dancing off into the sunset. Now I'm not going to put the memento away, nor am I going to put the lady away, because we also need now, excuse me, coffee. I'm so sorry I'm coughing. I'm causing awful trouble because I have a terribly tickly throat. And of course, with this virus going around at the moment, people keep thinking I have it. I promise I haven't. I've just got a tickly cough and I've got a very rough throat at the moment. So we're going to ink her up, and I'm going to put her at a funny angle because actually if you look, her skirt is at a sort of whoosh angle. So instead of putting her straight on the stripe, I'm going to try and catch the pattern on the diagonal. There we go. And now we've got her both on the card and on a piece of the DSP. So now this is where we start to piece it together. So I am now going to cut out just her skirt. So I'll try and do it on the camera. You'll have to kind of bear with me if I slip in and out of shot a little bit, because it's quite hard to concentrate on cutting and actually watching whether I'm actually in the middle of the film or not. So here we go. I'm going to cut out her dress. Mind her arms. There we go. Leave her a little bit of space for her hair. So let's go a little tiddly-woo around there for her hair. I don't know what a tiddly-woo is, but it's something I use quite a lot when I'm trying to cut things out. So there is her little dress cut out. And I'm also going to cut out her hat. So here goes her hat. Okay. And this little hat. There we go. Oh, that's a very tiny little hat. Okay, and now we're going to pop these onto her a little bit like, do you remember we used to play dressing up our dollies with little paper things with little tags on, little tabs on them. So we're going to pop her clothing on and she will look rather lovely, I hope. So let's just put a little piece of the glue across, make sure I've got the edges, and just making sure she's nicely centred and in the right place. And here goes her little hat. Same again, just a little bit of the wet glue and pop her little hat on. Okay, and we've now dressed her beautifully, and all we need to do is find our original little piece. We're now going to put onto the back of here, we're going to put some dimensionals, which I have got somewhere. Here we go. So I'm going to put one on each corner, one just in a little bit because I don't want it to show, so I just want them in a little tiny bit from the corner. And I'm probably going to put two across the middle because I do like to be certain that you've got a nice solid centre. It's never wasteful to use more than you need because actually they're fairly cheap and easy, and it does look terrible if it doesn't sit nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to just take the tops off those dimensionals like that, and pop him or her back into the centre where we want her to be. And we've now got another lovely lady to add to my selection of rather gorgeous ladies. Isn't that a pretty selection of cards? And now all I need to do is show you how to make the envelope to go with it. So we're going to take the envelope that's from the note set that matches, and we're going to take a piece of the paper that matches, and we're just going to put it about a third of the way down, just a rough third, so that it's well enough down for it to kind of, when you open the envelope, not to see the bottom of it. Okay, and we're going to open the envelope up like this, and I am going to use my snips, and I am just going to literally snip neatly around the edge of my envelope. Now, if you feel like you can't hold this and you can't manage this, then just give it a pencil line round and cut along the pencil line. But I find it quite easy to just cut it as I'm going. Now, that won't fit because it's going to be too big. So what we now do is we do almost the opposite of fussy cutting. We come in just a tiny bit from the edge and we cut, watching the edge and keeping the same distance all the way around as much as we can. Okay, am I still on camera? There we go. And so what I've done is I have cut a fuzzy cut inside edge instead of an outside edge. And this should now fit perfectly well inside and will perfectly match the shape of the envelope. But of course I need to just tip it down a little bit so that we're underneath the sticky tab. And all I'm going to do is take a little bit of wet glue and I'm just going to put a little stripe or two across there. And I'm going to just stick the top. Okay, then being careful to make sure it's holding in place, I'm going to make sure that's nicely clipped. Now, I haven't glued the base because what I want it to do is as it opens and closes, I want it to be able to give a little bit here so that this fold doesn't crinkle up the paper. So there's a really nice envelope. Shall I? Here's our lovely lady that we've just made, and we can pop her in there and say goodnight to her. And then possibly, it's up to you, but another nice idea, because we've just got a little piece of this left over, is to cut ourselves a strip. Let me just do it quickly over one side here. And I can either put a little strip on the front, or maybe I could just put a little piece, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to put a little slightly thinner strip across the corner of the card, just to finish off the little project. So I'm just going to pop it across here, and then I'm going to just very carefully cut that edge and cut that edge. And I've now got, I hope you'll agree, a pretty little envelope which kind of tempts you to open it because it gives you a little hint of the paper piecing we've done inside. And then when you open it, it gives you another little tempter of the paper that we've got inside. And out she comes, fully dressed, looking really rather pretty. Okay, those are my paper pieced notelets. I hope you've enjoyed them. Thank you very much. Goodbye.